up, guys? You are listening to the HatzChat podcast where I, HatzMania, will be discussing different Yu-Gi-Oh! Topics every week. And this week's topic, we're going to be taking a look at whether or not reprints are good for the game. Recently, Wing Raiders was released into the TCG, which actually reprinted a lot of multiple higher price and difficult to obtain cards, such as number 101, Ghost Trick Alucard, Diamond Crab King, Cowboy, and Karen Gorgon. And at the announcement of the new Gold Series set due to release in only a few weeks, the three cards were set to be reprinted: Itali, Giant Hand, King, and King of Heavy Industry. And this past week, Konami leaked a picture of more reprints, namely Cosmos and Snow Ogre and Ghost Rabbit. As a result, the majority of these cards, except for Giant Hand and Heavy Industry, which I will get to later, instantly dropped in price. Now, why could this be a good thing? Well, one, it's cheaper prices. Cheaper prices are always good. It's great for people who are trying to play on a budget. It also makes these cards way more accessible to people that are just trying to play the game, that want to get into the game. Makes staples more accessible, like E-Telly, Giant Hand, Ghost Ogre, etc. The ones that I mentioned above before. And makes the game more open to players who normally wouldn't have access to these cards. It also gives these cards different rarities. Aesthetically, some people prefer some rarities over others, or think some cards look better in one rarity over another. Reprints can also give rarity updates to some cards, making them look nicer. I think I remember when the Chaos Dragons were released. They were released in Ultra Rare, and then they were reprinted into Gold Rare. And Light Pulsar Dragon was when that was reprinted. Nobody really wanted that card just simply because it was a Gold Rare and it looked ugly. People were thinking it looked disgusting. They were like, "Give me the Ultra Rare. I don't want gold." And then on the flip side, people were like, "Dark Pulse looks great as a Gold Rare. Give me that one instead." So it just depends on what your preferences and what you want your deck to look like. It also gives more creativity, creative access to people's as well. This stems off of cheaper prices. The more cards that get reprinted, the easier it is for Konami to make money while simultaneously allowing people to play the deck that they want at a lower price. And this also gives out the new strategies, because the more people to play, the more different ways they're actually going to see these decks being played as well. So, for example, when Cosmos comes out in Gold Series, as a bunch of cold rares, you're going to see it, unless it gets hit, which I'll get to later. You're going to be seeing a lot of people popping up that weren't playing Cosmos before, bringing new strategy, possibly new strategies to the table, different ratios that could possibly be good. This has happened before with other decks that got suddenly reprinted. Like, oh, okay, like here's a new way to play the deck. Here's my way. Like, because so many more people are playing this deck, you're going to see a lot more people be more creative with the deck and willing to have more of an investment in the deck than they normally would. Also, prize cards. This is what I was talking about with Giant Hand and King of Heavy Industry. Prize cards, cards that are awarded to the top placing contestants in the tournament, such as Giant Hand, Minerva, King of Heavy Industry, and then I think like a couple of other ones that have just become staples. After that, they can be valued at anywhere from $300 to $500, maybe more, maybe less, depending on how useful the card is. It's just generally speaking, if the card's more staply or could be more staply, like Giant Hand, then it's going to be a higher price. Reprinting these cards makes them more accessible to those who want them and want to play them, but can't drop or don't want to drop $300 to $500, because that's just an insane price. Not 101. I keep saying 101. Giant Hand is going to definitely become more of a staple in rank 4 decks that have access to rank 4 plays, just simply because its effect is very good, negating effects, etc. However, on the flip side, we have the cons to the argument. The essence of people why people don't want cards like Cosmos reprinted, and that's inflation. Inflation, it's more of an economical term, it's more general, but inflation is typically bad. Obviously, we're having trouble with that in our current economy. But this is especially more apparent in a game like Yu-Gi-Oh!, where set rotation is non-existent. If you don't know what set rotation is, Magic and Pokemon are notable for doing these, where throughout the year they only make certain packs legal for their majority of the tournaments. Yes, Magic has their own ban list for, I believe it's like traditional play, something like that. I'm not too familiar with that, but it allows them to curb and like prevent power creep. And inflation does come into an effect because then they don't have to keep reprinting cards. They can, but they don't necessarily have to. And inflation is very bad in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Konami has full control over how many times they can reprint a card. For example, Mystical Space Typhoon has been reprinted to oblivion. There's so many rarities. I'm pretty sure a Mystical Space Typhoon has been reprinted every single rarity, except maybe rare for some reason. I don't know. If I'm wrong, correct me, but I'm pretty sure it's been reprinted in every single rarity imaginable. And it's been a staple up until the release of Bosch and the release of Twin Twister, and even now, MST is still used in a variety of decks just because it's a little different from Twin Twister, obviously. But it's barely worth 50 cents at its lowest price and $10 at most, which is, I believe, the Ghost Rare. And this isn't including Tournament or Astro Pack reprints. The Ultimate Rare is ridiculously overpriced. It's a staple card. Yes, it's going for $36, but you don't really need the Ultimate Rare where you can pick up commons for 50 cents. It's a little bit impractical sometimes if you're just trying to use the card, and no one's going to judge you if you're using a common MST. And this is really due because the reprint is, it's like this card has been reprinted at basically every given opportunity. It's reprinted in like almost every single structure starter deck. It was reprinted in Wing Raiders. I think it was reprinted in High Speed Riders as well. It just gets reprinted over and over again because it is so useful, but at the same time it's just driving down the price. The banless watch is also a con to this. Higher tier decks or cards like Cosmo or Laval Chain as examples that get reprinted multiple times soon after their release, or reprinted in a different set soon after release. They don't necessarily have to be reprinted multiple times. Typically get hit on the ban list very soon. I mean, Cosmos, the fact that they just came out only a few months ago, and the fact they, like, you could probably say that the deck is pretty much close to completion in terms of how many archetypes like how many cards in the archetype that we're going to get. If not complete, I think we're getting like one or two more cards. The fact that they're reprinting so soon, like, usually that points towards a ban list, that they're going to get hit somehow, and most likely that's going to be cards like Tin Can, Dark Destroyer, or Farm Girl, just simply because those cards are so insanely powerful at the moment. And then Laval Chain experienced the same thing. I think it got reprinted like at least 2 more times after its initial release. It got reprinted in the battle packs, and it got reprinted in Gold Rare as well, and Konami just wanted to sell it as much, and like, oh, we're going to ban it now. So it's just, like, it makes people want to watch the ban list, and it prevents people from really investing in the card. This also creates distrust in Konami with reprints. Konami hates the secondary market. They don't make any money off of it, so cards popping up like Owner Seal again and Kaiju's, they're not making money off that card. They are not. It's the vendors that are making money off that card because they haven't reprinted that card since it came out. They have not printed the card, I should say. And they only make money off of packs, boxes, tins, structure, and starter decks, and the occasional promo card that are released in Shonen Jump and whatever. But typically, they don't get any money off of single cards themselves, which is, as I said, vendors make a lot of money. It's just the way the thing goes. However, because of this, they want to curb, they want to make sure that they get as much money as they can. If the card is not reprinted, but it's still being used, Konami will be more likely to ban or limit it until they want to reprint it, or until the card is no longer viable. For example, Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, it was not reprinted after Hidden Arsenal at all. It was not, it got banned immediately, and then, like, pretty much very soon after it got printed. And then only when Konami decided to print it out in 2 different sets, the Astro Pack as a Ultimate and High Speed Riders as a Secret, and also it was also out in Duelist Terminal, but I'm not really counting that in this. That was when they decided to take off the ban list, because, like, we know people want this back. They're going to buy it. It's going to be a $30 plus card on the secondary market. They do watch it, by the way, to make sure that they will get money. So it's just they're out there to make money, and that's it. They don't care about what our preference is. And it's also Konami's business strategy to make cards that would become staples, reprint them to hell, and then limit or straight out ban them. And these examples include Rhoda, Laval Chain, and most likely Emergency Teleport at some point. That card is a Rhoda, a quick play Rhoda for Psychics. It's going to get banned. It's been abused in Cosmos for this current format. It's been abused before. So I would not be surprised if Emergency Teleport itself got banned. Also, Konami completely understands that people will drop hundreds of dollars on a playset and will make money while they can. They also understand that if the deck doesn't get hit, they will lose money in the future. This is why power creep exists. Power creep exists because they need to keep creating more and more powerful cards in order for people to invest in these new decks and these new sets so that they will leave behind the cards that Konami is not printing anymore and buy into their new stuff. Therefore, they're very willing to make the market as unpredictable as possible, as experienced by the adjusted ban list. If you guys don't know what happened with that, I mean, if you've been living under a rock, Pepe was a tier 0 deck. It was considered a tier 0 deck. There are a lot of arguments flying around that it was at most a tier 1 and everything else just couldn't really compete with it. However, like, Konami felt that it was just ridiculously overpowered, or at least they made that call. They let everything in that deck get sold. Like, they let the Pendulum Magician go up to $100. Let people buy sets, like cases of the Breakers of Shadows, and then a couple weeks after it released, they banned pretty much everything or limited everything that was absolutely necessary to play Pepe, and people who had invested hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, into this deck were extremely ticked off with Konami. And like, people were like, oh, that's what you get, but at the same time, people were investing, and it creates a lot of distrust in Konami as to what they will do. Makes them very unpredictable, and that's just how they like it. They like it because they still know people will keep investing, and like, not everyone's just going to drop it because Konami, like, oh, like, clearly people were happy Pepe got hit, so like, Konami's like, oh yeah, we're not going to lose a lot of people. In fact, we're going to gain people back because people were quitting the game because of Pepe, and they were losing money because of it. They don't care. They only care if like they lose money or gain money off of a set. If they're losing money because people are quitting, they're going to ban the top deck so people will come back and play. That's the whole point. So, are reprints good or bad for a card? Let me know in the comment section below if you're listening to this on YouTube. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as well. And as always, guys, have a nice day.